In my home state of Washington and across the U.S., general aviation means jobs that pay well, and it means and is part of the key to a long-term economic growth. A recent study found that GA industry supported an estimated $247 billion in economic output and 1.2 million jobs in the U.S. in 2018. However, the COVID-19 pandemic forced the industry to face several challenges, including workforce reduction, supply chain disruptions, and other issues. To help put GA back on the right track, Congress took several steps to ensure pandemic relief protected U.S. aviation jobs and keep supply chains moving. For instance, the Aviation Manufacturing Jobs Protection Program, which Representative Estes of Kansas and I introduced in August of 2020 and was included in the American Rescue Plan, protected or saved 3,100 highly skilled, good-paying jobs in aviation in my home state and more than 30,000 jobs nationwide. However, Congress can and must do more to better prepare the GA sector for future disruptions. And over the weekend, I was able to attend the Tarkio Air Show with Ranking Member Sam Graves and Ranking Member Garrett Graves, which provided some very helpful insights into the priorities of GA operators and companies. And today's witnesses represent a cross-section of the GA industry, including aircraft owners and pilots, helicopters, manufacturers, state aviation agencies, small airports, and business aviation interests. I look forward to hearing more about how Congress can support safety and innovation in this growing industry. Now, while the U.S. economy is on the move, the GA sector, like many other industries, is facing workforce challenges to meet the growing demands of the flying public. Congress has an opportunity to build on progress made in the 2018 FAA reauthorization law and invest in future general aviation operators, technicians, and manufacturers. The 18 reauthorization included several workforce development provisions to improve the recruitment of young people and women to careers in the aviation industry. For example, in March, the FAA's Women in Aviation Advisory Board submitted its report entitled Breaking Barriers, Flight Plan for the Future. And I plan to use the report's recommendations and others from aviation stakeholders to build a framework for diversifying the aviation workforce. The 18 law also created the Section 625 Aviation Workforce Development Grant Programs to invest in, recruit, and inspire the future aviation workforce. And I'm working to develop legislation to increase funding for this initiative and expand eligibility to include aviation manufacturing and to help build the U.S. aviation workforce to meet current and future demands. One issue I heard from GA stakeholders at the Tarkio Air Show is the mounting workforce issues as well at the FAA, which are creating backlogs in rulemaking and regulatory processes. Stakeholders are also concerned about the agency's staffing shortages and the subsequent lack of institutional knowledge and how that may hinder U.S. leadership in global aviation. So I look forward to hearing from today's witnesses on how Congress can help improve that staffing and reduce any negative impacts on the agency's efforts to move forward on appropriate regulation and rulemaking. And finally, I want to touch on emerging technologies. To support the future growth of the GA sector, Congress must create a regulatory framework that prioritizes safety, invests in the necessary infrastructure, and help to make communities globally competitive well into the 2050s and beyond. Over the last 2 years, this subcommittee has heard from several stakeholders about the U.S. aviation innovation and how emerging airspace entrants and technologies, such as advanced air mobility, or AAM, can offer potential societal, safety, and environmental benefits. Congress is taking concrete steps to help make those concepts a reality. So as we move into the 2023 FAA reauthorization, Congress must evaluate the role of AAM and what role it will play in the GA sector and what needs must be met to safely integrate those vehicles into the U.S. airspace. And the GA sector is also committed to addressing the industry's contributions to climate change. In recent years, the development of electric and hybrid-powered aircraft are among efforts to reduce carbon and noise emissions. For example, in my hometown of Arlington, Washington, the Arlington Municipal Airport is located there, and it is home to Aviation, an aviation company which is developing the 9-seat all-electric Alice aircraft with local people doing the work. The GA industry is also working to adopt alternative fuel sources to reduce carbon emissions from air travel, such as development and distribution of sustainable aviation fuel, and we also have the looming issue for the GA sector related to the transition to lead-free aviation fuel. So I look forward to hearing from you more about how Congress can assist in ensuring a safe transition to lead-free fuels for GA. So while the economy is on the move and the future of aviation remains bright, the GA still faces several issues that must be addressed. And today's witnesses will provide much needed insight on the GA's industry priorities and how Congress can be a better partner in these efforts. Thank you. I look forward to tackling these issues in a collaborative manner. And now we'll turn to Representative Graves of Louisiana for an opening statement.